All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving deep, and I mean deep, into the world of ichthyology, the scientific study of fishes. We're going to explore why these creatures aren't just another group of animals, but why they are, without a doubt, the most dominant vertebrates ever to live on this planet. So, to get our heads in the right space, let's just start with this idea. A couple of scientists once wrote, "Humans are not the pinnacle of evolutionary progress, but only an aberrant side branch of fish evolution." Now, that's a pretty bold statement, right? But it's not just to grab your attention. It's a total shift in how we see ourselves. It suggests that for the last 400 million years, the main event, the big story of life with a backbone, has been all about fish. And us? We're just a recent, kind of weird little chapter in their book.
Okay, so here's the game plan for our journey today. We'll kick things off with what a fish actually is, then we'll travel through their epic 400 million year history. After that, we'll check out their amazing adaptations for living underwater, break down the 3 major classes, and finally, we'll learn how to read a fish's life story just by looking at its shape.
Right, so let's start with the basics. What exactly is a fish? Well, the simple answer is a cold-blooded animal with a backbone, gills, and fins that lives in water. But you know what? That simple definition barely scratches the surface of their incredible story of success.
Now, the formal name for studying these amazing animals is ichthyology. And this isn't some new field. People have been at this for a really long time. We're talking more than 2,000 years, all the way back to Aristotle. He was actually the first guy to really sit down and try to classify different fish, laying the foundation for, well, pretty much all of zoology. To really grasp just how much they run the show, just look at this chart. When we think of animals with backbones, vertebrates, our minds usually jump to mammals or birds, right? But look at this. Fish make up a staggering 60% of all vertebrate species. Let that sink in. 3 out of every 5 vertebrates on Earth is a fish. It really is their planet. We're just living on the dry bits.
So, how in the world did they get to be so diverse? To answer that, we have to jump in our time machine. The story of fish kicks off over 400 million years ago, way before the dinosaurs were even a thing, and it's a story packed with incredible innovation.
Okay, so this right here was the single biggest game changer in the history of all vertebrates, the evolution of the jaw. Before this, you had the Agnathostomes, the jawless ones. They were stuck just filter feeding or scavenging leftovers. But then came the Gnathostomes, the jawed vertebrates, and everything changed. Suddenly, you could bite, you could hunt, you could defend yourself. This one invention kicked off an evolutionary arms race and opened up a whole new world of possibilities, paving the way for every single jawed vertebrate that followed, including us.
And you can see that whole story play out right on this timeline. We start way back in the Cambrian with the Osteichthyes, these bizarre armored jawless fish. Then the Devonian period hits and boom, we get the placoderms, the pioneers with jaws. Not long after that, the first cartilaginous fish, think ancient sharks, show up on the scene. And then the group that was destined to take over, the bony fish, the Osteichthyes, emerge with a skeletal design that was just better. It let them go on to conquer pretty much every body of water on the planet.
So how did they do it? How did they become so successful? Well, it all boils down to becoming masters of their environment. And life in water, which is about 800 times denser than air, is a completely different ballgame with its own unique set of rules.
Just think about the physics for a second. The density of water is great because it supports your body against gravity, but it also creates a ton of drag when you try to move. Water doesn't compress well, which means sound travels great, but it also means any little movement you make creates turbulence that a predator can feel. And on top of all that, there's way less light and way less oxygen than we have in the air. So yeah, fish had to evolve some seriously ingenious solutions to thrive.
And one of the most brilliant solutions is the lateral line. You can kind of think of it as a sense of distant touch. It's this network of sensors that lets a fish detect the tiniest vibrations and pressure changes in the water. This means they can feel a predator sneaking up, find prey that's struggling, or just navigate around in total darkness. They're literally feeling their way through their world. It's incredible.
So now that we've seen where they came from, let's take a look at the incredible variety of fish that are alive today. We can group them all into 3 main classes, which are really the major surviving branches on that big evolutionary tree.
First up, we have class Agnatha, the jawless fish. These guys are basically living fossils, the most ancient lineage of vertebrates still around. When you look at a lamprey or a hagfish, you're getting a glimpse deep into the past. They don't have jaws or scales or even paired fins. It's a very primitive design. They don't even have a true backbone, just a flexible rod of cartilage called a notochord.
Next, we've got class Chondrichthyes, and this is where we find the sharks, skates, and rays. Their defining feature is a skeleton made of light, flexible cartilage instead of heavy bone. They've got powerful jaws, for sure, but one of the most interesting things about them is something they don't have: a swim bladder. You know that internal floaty that lets other fish just hang out in the water? Most sharks don't have one. That means if they stop swimming, they start sinking. It's a fascinating trade-off for being such an efficient predator.
And finally, we arrive at the undisputed rulers of the aquatic world, class Osteichthyes, the bony fish. With over 22,000 species and counting, they are by far the most diverse and successful group of vertebrates on the planet. Their secret? A couple of killer innovations: a strong but light bony skeleton, and, the real key, that gas-filled swim bladder. Having perfect control over buoyancy was the ticket that let them move into every single aquatic habitat imaginable.
All right, so now that we've met the three big groups, let's zoom in a bit and look at the basic blueprint of a fish. What are the key parts that make these creatures such masters of their element? So, on the outside, we can boil it down to four key systems. First, you've got the fins. They're the engine, the steering wheel, and the brakes, all rolled into one. Next up, the gills, an absolute marvel of engineering for pulling oxygen out of the water, and they're usually protected by a hard cover called an operculum. Third, you've got the scales, which are like a flexible suit of armor. And finally, that amazing lateral line we talked about, their sixth sense for feeling their way through the water. Now this is where it gets really cool. A fish's body shape is never an accident. It's a highly specialized tool perfectly designed for a specific way of life. By just looking at a fish's silhouette, you can pretty much read its entire biography.
First up, you have the rover predator, like a tuna. This is that classic, streamlined torpedo shape we all picture. It is a masterpiece of hydrodynamic design, built for one purpose: to slice through the open ocean with the least amount of drag possible during long, high-speed chases. It's the ultimate design for endurance. But now, contrast that with the lion-weight predator, like a barracuda. It's also torpedo-shaped, but notice the difference. The fins are pushed all the way to the back, right by the tail. This body isn't built for long chases. It's built like a loaded spring, designed for one thing: an explosive, lightning-fast launch from a standstill to ambush its prey. So what if you don't need top speed? If you're a deep-bodied fish, like an angelfish, living in a crowded coral reef, what you really need is agility. Their bodies are flattened from side to side. This shape means they give up straight-line speed, but in return they get the ability to make incredibly sharp turns, letting them weave through tight spaces and dodge predators in a cluttered world.
And finally, there's the eel-like shape. This body plan pretty much throws speed and handling out the window for one superpower: getting into places other fish can't. That long, flexible body lets them slide into narrow cracks and rocks, burrow into the sand, and navigate dense weeds, giving them access to food and shelter that are totally off-limits to everyone else. So, let's put a bow on all of this. What are the big things to remember? Number one, fish are, by a long shot, the most diverse and numerous vertebrates on Earth. 2. Their success was fueled by massive evolutionary innovations, like getting jaws. 3. They are absolute masters of adaptation with incredible solutions for the challenges of living in water. And 4. Always remember that form follows function. A fish's body tells you exactly how it lives. Which brings us full circle, right back to where we started. If the last 400 million years belong to fish, and we're just a tiny, recent offshoot, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What's coming next? What kind of new forms, new adaptations, and new dominant players will emerge from the water in the next 400 million years? Because one thing is for sure, the reign of fishes is far from over.